That's right. Who do you think you are? It's great to have you here, guys. Please stay tuned. Watch right to the very end if you can, because I've got some fantastic tips and ideas for you. Plus, I want to share details of 3 brand new books that have been released this weekend, and they are book number 1, book number 2, and book number 3. And I'm going to be telling you more about these books, what they are, what their purpose is, and how you can get one. So stay tuned. You know, when I left the Jehovah's Witness religion, I didn't know who I was. I'd been born into the religion and spent the first 20 years and more in the cult. Everything that I knew, everything that I believed, my friends, my activities, all my beliefs were shaped and conformed around this belief. I didn't know any different. So when I escaped, I didn't have a clue who I was, and I had to go on a journey of self-discovery. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the one thing they're very good at is giving you labels, and throughout the organisation people are labelled as spiritual, not so spiritual, good association, bad association, pioneers, families, elders' wives, sisters, brothers. We have all these labels attached to us, and shaking those labels off, and even the language that we use, was difficult for me. And you know, we use the word truth, and even though I've been gone for 30 years now, I still find myself talking about the truth, and I'm really trying hard not to use that, because I know that it's anything but the truth. You know, when I talk to my family who are still in, I ask about the service meeting and the theocratic meeting, and I'm like, you know, it's language that's been ingrained in the fabric of my being, because that was all I knew for well over 20 years. So I had to go on a journey of self-discovery to get to know me, to identify who I was. Now, you know, the one thing that I've learned, having stopped being a Jehovah's Witness, is that labels are given to you to confine you, to put you in a box, and it is another form of control. And you know, people use the terms, you know, disfellowshipped, disassociated, fader, fading, apostate, and since I've been gone out of the religion, I've refused to give myself those labels. I don't acknowledge any of those labels associated to myself. And you know, my family say that some of them are still in, and their friends will ask, you know, are you disfellowshipped? And I'll go, what's that? You know, are you disassociated? Are you a fader? What's that? And I play ignorant, because I refuse to be defined by anybody, and least of all by a cult. So I don't accept any of those labels. So when they ask, I will say very politely that I used to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm no longer a believer in that religion. And then they usually want to know a bit more, and I refuse to give myself any labels and titles. You know, and over the years, I've learned not to accept any negative self-talk and anything that is associated with the religion. So I've really had to discover who I was. And I've got here a few notes. You'll see me looking down because I've written a few notes of the things that I want to share with you about my journey of really identifying who I am, who Angela is, and Angela the woman, not Angela the ex-Jehovah's Witness. So the first thing that I had to work on, and and don't get me wrong, I've not got any of these down. I am still working on them over 30 years, and I hope that what I've found amongst the community is that so many of us have similar experiences, and for many it's identical, but we all have this common thread. Some are more advanced in deprogramming than others, but I want to use this video to help somebody. So if, as I go through this is making sense to you, it's ringing a bell, you can identify, then drop me a message in the comment section below, because I really want to share my experience to help you. So over the years, the first thing I've had to learn is to accept no negativity. So I've had to refuse to accept negative talk from anybody about any matter, because again, around being in the Jehovah's Witness, they love to put you on a pedestal and praise you and give you lots of recognition when you are following their advice and doing what they want you to do. But the minute that you say, no, actually I'm going to be a critical thinker and I'm going to think for myself, then they're quick to label you. Or back in the, I don't know whether they use this term now, but back in the day they used to say you were marked, or somebody in the congregation was marked. So in other words, watch your back, don't get too close to them. So again, applying these labels, and although I was never disfellowshipped or marked whilst I was a Jehovah's Witness, I just left, I escaped. I'm sure after I left, those labels were attached to me, but I refused to accept them and acknowledge them. So don't allow anybody to put you down and to tarnish your self-esteem, your confidence and your self-belief. Now, I'm not just talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses, although that will be a major part for many of us, but I'm just talking generally. And when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, my confidence was at an all-time low, and my self-esteem was completely shot. And even I look at myself now and I look at pictures of me back 30 years ago and I hardly recognize myself. I'm a different person. And yes, okay, you might say, well, you have aged 30 years, Angela. Yeah, I take that. But in terms of my own appearance, back then, I didn't really, I didn't wear much makeup. I didn't wear much jewelry. It was the bog standard uniform of, a skirt and a top or a blouse. I was very plain in my approach and my outlook. And that was because, the witnesses always taught that as women, you have to have this very submissive attitude And yes, whilst that applies to wives, even in the congregation, even if you're single, you still had to be submissive to the older men, to the brothers in the congregation, to the elders. You have to be seen as humble and not draw attention to yourself. So I took on that mantle of just trying to fade into the background of the congregation and not do anything that would draw attention to myself through my appearance and through my dress. Once I left, I then had to really discover who I was and build up my self-confidence and my self-esteem and really celebrate that. So some of the negative self-talk that I sort of completely shunned was coming from family, was coming from friends, was coming from work colleagues. And at first I used to accept it because I just thought I have to be this humble and submissive person. But when it started making me feel worthless, making me feel totally devalued, and making me feel like, you know, I had nothing to contribute, somehow I gathered the strength to start fighting back. And I didn't care who it was. I remember once my boss tried to take a strip off me because she just felt that, you know, I wasn't doing my job properly, and I really was not having any of it. And I found my voice, and after that she never bothered me again. Again, family and friends, and even after I left, boyfriends, when they tried to put me down, I was having none of it. So I went from this very submissive, humble, and don't get me wrong, I am still humble. I have a humble element about me, but what I mean is I'm not going to let anybody walk over me. And so I'd gone from this very shy, very submissive, very, you know, very mouse-like character to being the person that I am today. And I'm proud of who I am today. But it took time. It doesn't happen overnight, because it's kind of like, you know, stripping the leaves back off a rose and stripping it bare. And you have to allow yourself to grow and to blossom and to bloom. And once you do, then you have to learn to accept the person, the man or the woman that you are. So in order to help me overcome and to deal with the negative self-talk and the negative language, I had to talk to myself in a way that I would expect other people to talk to me. So, and you know, we all do it, you know, and I've done it, and I've made a mistake, and I'm like, oh, silly old cow. Do you know what I mean? And you make those comments to yourself. And I decided, no, I'm not going to talk to myself like that. It's not acceptable for me to talk to myself in a way that I wouldn't allow somebody else to talk to me, if that makes sense. So in other words, I wouldn't allow somebody to say, oh, you're a silly cow, Angela. That could never happen. So therefore, I wasn't going to allow myself to talk to me in that manner. So I started, a couple of years ago, I started looking in the mirror and talking to myself. And I would just say things. I'd look at myself and I'd say, wow, Angela, you are amazing. You can do anything that you want to do. You can achieve all your goals, and not just achieve them, but you can be fantastic at them. You can do this, girl. You have what it takes, and you are unstoppable. And this was the way that I started talking to myself. I read it in a book somewhere, and it really started to make a difference. So when people started to talk to me in a negative way. Couldn't happen, because I knew better and I started to find my voice. I used to say things like, girl, you're rocking it. You know, you are one hell of a sexy hot mama. And when I get ready to go out, with my friends or go to work or whatever, I used to look in the mirror and say, girl, you are steaming hot. Because if I didn't believe it, then nobody else would. So I had to really instill that in me. And once I did all of this positive self-talk, I could hit the streets and feel good about myself. And I do now. I am at the point in my life where I feel amazing. And yes, I have lots of health challenges, and if you've not seen my video about my health condition called lupus, I will put it in the description box below, so please feel free to watch. But I feel great about myself, and having that self-belief and building that self-belief has helped me to go on and have a fantastic career that I never thought I would as a Jehovah's Witness. I went back to university. It's probably called college in America, but here we call it university. So onto higher education, got my degree, entered into the profession as a human resource practitioner, did further study and became a training and development specialist and a qualified coach, rose up the career ladder, became a HR director for various companies, and then went on to set up a number of businesses, had a fantastic career, 7 years in live TV as a presenter, a guest demonstrator and a designer. Went on to write a number of books that I'm really, really proud of, have my own publishing company. I've gone on to do a lot of things, and I'm telling you this not to impress you. I don't want to impress you for a second, but the reason I'm telling you this is to impress upon you that even though we have a difficult and tragic start, and I say that because I look back and that's how I feel that I have had a difficult and tragic start to my life for the first 20 odd years and more. It doesn't have to end bad. You can still turn it around and you can achieve whatever it is you want. It takes work, but you can achieve whatever it is that you want. Next, I had to learn to claim my birthright, and that is something Jehovah's Witnesses strip you of. You are no longer a person, an individual. You are a robot. Essentially, you become robotic. When I look at Jehovah's Witnesses, whenever I see them in my area, and I'm sure you're the same, you can spot them a mile off. They're doing the kingdom walk, and bearing in mind the end is coming soon, and they have this urgent work to do. I've never seen a group of people saunter up a road. Yeah, just saying. But this is how I see them in my local area. There's never any urgency about their walk. They stand around on street corners with their cart, on their phones, soaking up the sun. And I'm like, okay, so this work's supposed to be urgent, did you say? Didn't look urgent to me, And they wear the uniform, And you'll know what I mean, because you can spot a JW a mile off by the way they dress, men and women. They wear the uniform. So, there's this very robotic approach. Even their language, you start talking to a person, they don't even have to tell you that they're a Jehovah's Witness, but when you allow them to talk, you can spot the signs in their language, that they are a Jehovah's Witness. So they have this commonality in their language, in their approach, even in their tone of voice they have. So you become very robotic, and you lose your personality. In our congregation, there was absolutely no fun. It was meetings, field service, personal study, book study. If you had Bible studies, you would do that, and then the cycle started again. It was just continue this revolving cycle, and there was just no place for fun, relaxation and entertainment. And if some of the young people dared to have any form of entertainment, it was often frowned upon by the elders. And in fact, the only way that it wasn't frowned upon was if an elder organised it, or if an elder was present. But other than that, in my congregation, in my personal experience, it was completely frowned upon. Now, I'm not saying that that is the case across the world, because back in the late 1980s, I went out to the Caribbean for a number of weeks, and the Jehovah's Witnesses were very different in their approach. After meetings, they'd go out on field service, then they would hit the beach, they'd go out and they would have fun. And my family, who lives in America, in one part of I'm trying to keep them anonymous, because it's not fair on them, but some of my family, they tell me that they go out to parties and they go out for meals and they have a whale of a time. And I'm like, you know what, I'm really glad for you, but when I was Jehovah's Witness, it was frowned upon. It was seen as worldly, and we were not encouraged to associate with people who were going out and having fun. And even Jesus had fun. Jesus would have a laugh. He logged a little bit of a tipple, turned water into wine and all that, went to the wedding feast, got into his groove. He loved that. So I don't know what was wrong with it, but hey, that was my experience. So even that whole personality side of individuals was closed down. And and in fact, the only fun that we had was going to the conventions and going to the assemblies and helping in the food preparation and the cleaning. That was the only fun that we had. Yeah, so as I say, I felt shut down. I can't speak for anybody else, but I certainly felt shut down in terms of my personality. So I had to learn to claim my birthright. And once I left and started doing a lot of personal development, because as part of my career in HR and training, I also specialised in personal development and coaching, and I had to coach myself. I had to be my own coach, and I am still my own coach, and I coach lots and lots of other people, but I had to claim my birthright. So I started talking to myself and acknowledging that I am a queen. I am a queen, and this is my crown, and my crown is within me. It's not a physical crown like the Queen. It is within me, and I wear it on my head. My hair is my crown. And you are queens. You are a queen, whether you've left the organisation, whether you are still in, you're waking up, or you've been gone for many, many years, or whether you've never been a Jehovah's Witness before, you are a queen. Claim your birthright. And if you are a man, I'm telling you now, you are a king. Claim your birthright. And if you are a young person, you are a prince or a princess. Claim your birthright. You are beautiful inside and out. This will fade away. Our physical appearances will fade. But inside, we are beautiful beings. I am beautiful, and I had to learn that. I'm strong, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And when I left my mother, I'll never forget, my mother came, and I was living with one of my sisters at the time, and she came round to have the conversation as to what was going on, why I wasn't going to meetings, did I have a secret boyfriend or anything like that. And I just explained to her how I felt. Now, my mother, now this is interesting, I know that a lot of witnesses, when they leave, their families shun them. And I'm really grateful that that didn't happen to me, because my father was the first one to wake up in our family. He just saw through the witnesses. My father was baptized, and he saw through the witness, and he woke up. But because he loved his wife and his children, he allowed us to continue. So, and because my mother loved her husband, she refused to shun him. And then as my brothers and sisters eventually started to wake up, my dad was of the mind, that's absolutely fine. You're not, he'd say to my mum, you're not going to shun them. You're not going to follow the witnesses in shunning. So as a family, we didn't shun each other. My parents were much more loving than the elders, and refused to shun their children. So I'm really grateful for that. Although I know that a lot of families are devastated because, you know, they lose their family, their children, their parents, and other members of the family. So yeah, but my mother came over, and she wanted to know what was going on, and you know, she tried to sort of coax me around, and I said to her, no, I just don't believe. And I think she felt obligated to have the chat with me and to try and get me back. And when I shared my views with her, she was like, oh, well, you're far removed from Jehovah, you're far removed. And you know, when I said to her, do you know what, I'm glad that I'm far removed, and I'm glad that you see me as far removed, because the God that I serve, the Almighty, the Divine, the Creator of the universe, that's who I serve. Not this God called Jehovah, this manufactured God that the Jehovah's Witnesses want you to believe. So, you know, but it took strength. I had to be really strong to share my views. But as I say, unfortunately, although my mother wasn't in love with the elders in the congregation, she really didn't like them, she did continue with her beliefs until she died, which was her choice, you know. But I had to be strong, you know, and I am a good person, despite what the witnesses say. The witnesses believe that if you are not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, then you are evil, you are bad, and all of this ridiculous stuff. Refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it, because I know that I am kind, I'm loving, I am generous, I'm a peace lover, I am happy, and I am a joyful person within. Again, Jehovah's Witnesses teach that if you are not part of them, then there's no way you can be happy. That is the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. I'm positive, I'm a loyal friend, I speak truth, and I live truth. I'm living my best life now, and I love to have fun. So I had to claim my birthright, and I hope that this helps you to understand that you are a king or a queen, a prince or a princess, and you have every right to claim your birthright and live the life that you so much deserve. A life free from man-made rules and man-made guilt that they put upon you. And some of the things that has helped me to move on, claim my birthright, and deal with the negative self-talk and start talking positively about myself to help me like myself and to love myself. I say it wasn't easy, it's been a long journey and I'm still on that journey, is to journal my feelings. I had to learn to journal and to write, and I am a writer, but writing for my business and writing about my personal feelings are two very different things. But if you are not a writer, then think about recording your feelings. You know, if you've got a mobile phone, a smartphone, you can download apps, audio apps. So record your feelings, just speak them out, because that's part of the healing process. Even start your own channel. Think about starting your own channel, or if you're not ready to share your videos to the world, record it and keep it private. Put it on a private setting and keep it just for you, so you can look back and see your growth and your progress over time. Talk to friends. Now again, Jehovah's Witnesses teach that people in the world are not your friend. Well, the people that I thought were my friends in the Kingdom Hall were not my friends. They were quick to drop me like that as soon as I stopped going. And you know, a few years later, and it really did hurt me, really did hurt me, but a few years later I met a girl that me and her had literally grown up together in the Kingdom Hall, and we were, I think she was a year older than me, and I stopped going. I'd had my son by then, so this was probably a good 10 years later, and she saw me, and you know, we exchanged numbers, and I was so happy, I was so over the moon, and we had a conversation. It was a long conversation over the phone, and then she came to see me and she met my son. My son at the time was probably about 2 or 3. Anyway, she, you know, she was still a Jehovah's Witness. She was still going to the same Kingdom Hall, and she was trying to encourage me to come back. Well, that was never going to happen. So what she then did, so we arranged to, you know, have another chat on the phone, and the following week I didn't hear from her. So I called her back and she didn't answer the phone, and then she subsequently called me and left a message. Her message really surprised me, and the message that she left was she'd spoken to one of the elders and told the elder that we had been communicating, and she'd invited me to the Kingdom Hall, but because I refused to go to the Kingdom Hall, the elder advised her that she should have nothing to do with me, and therefore that was her last call. And well, it really did upset me, because I thought she was my friend and she wasn't. But you know, I got over it, you know, as you do, you get over it, and I've now got some wonderful friends. It took me a long time to trust people, because I thought that the people that I would be friends with in the world, because you know, I was still indoctrinated And I believe that they were all going to be bad people, that they'd, want to steal from me, they'd want to hurt me, they would be criminals and murderers and drug addicts and, engaging in these sexual orgies and all of that. And so, I had this thing in the back of my mind that this is what people who are in the world are like. So it really did hinder me from making friends. And again, as part of my journey, I've had to deal with that. I've had to overcome that. And now I've got some of the most amazing, true and loyal friends, and they don't care whether I was a Jehovah's Witness. They don't care whether I was in a cult. They see me for who I am, and they love me for who I am, and they're the best friends ever. So, find friends, talk to them, and share your thoughts and feelings. And, I mentioned earlier that I am an author, and I just wanted to share with you something that I wrote to help myself, first of all, but with my own client group that I coach and work with, they wanted copies. So I've now produced a couple of books that may be of interest to you, and I just wanted to share them with you. And my first book is these 3 books that I'm going to show you are newly published. They've literally been published this weekend, which is the 22nd and 23rd of February 2019. So this book is called Colour a Beautiful Life. It's a journal and colouring book with uplifting messages, and it's available on Amazon. And this book, it is a journal. I just want to show you some pages of it. It is a colouring book because part of the work that I do is wellness coaching, wellness consultation, creativity and personal development, and I help people achieve their personal goals that they want to achieve. So here's the book, the inside of it, and just to flick it open, here are on this page some inspirational messages that I've included, and I'll just read some of it to you. The first positive statement, and this is a positive statement that in my book I encourage the owner to read several times a day, and it says, I love myself unconditionally. I am loved. Because I'm a firm believer that if what we say about ourselves and to ourselves, we start to believe. So get rid of the negative self-talk and talk positively. So it says, I love myself, I am loved. And then the motivational statement underneath, it says, the past cannot be changed, but the future is in your power. So yes, I've spent 20 years and more in the Jehovah's Witness. I can't change it, that's gone. But the future, I can do something about it. And the same with you, whatever stage of your journey you're on, you can't change the past, but you have the power to change your future. So, and then in this section here, you've got the colouring border, which, colouring is, and colour therapy is massive at the moment, and it can really help you to de-stress and to really take your mind into a new dimension. It's a great alternative therapy. And then you have your journal page, and here it says read the motivational and positive statements and write down how you think and feel about yourself in this space, and review regularly. So that's just one page. And then another example, the positive statement says, I love the life I live. I am grateful. And again, this is about living in the moment. And then the motivational statement says, never wish it was easier, wish you were better. And then again, you would write down your thoughts and feelings. So this is quite a big book, lots of pages in there. There's a page for every week of the year. And then at the back of the book, section 3, we have, section 2, again, these, each month there's 12 pages here, and this is your gratitude pages. So there's a statement up here, and in this one it says, I'm amazing. And then you would then write down for the month what you are grateful for. So this is a book, as I created it for myself, and then developed it and rolled it out for the coaching clients that I worked with, but then saw the crossover for many Jehovah's Witnesses who are on that journey of discovering who they are. So that is available on Amazon. And then I have 2 additional books. This one is Spread Your Wings and Fly High, and it's Winged Creatures colouring book with inspirational messages. And again, just beautiful pictures to encourage you to get involved in colour therapy, relaxation, de-stressing, and then motivational and positive statements on the opposite page. So on this page it says, think positive, be positive, live positive. So again, a great book. Another one here, put your foot in the right place and stand firm. So available on Amazon. And the last book that I want to show you is Calming Kaleidoscopes, colouring book with uplifting messages. And again, this is your mandalas and your colouring pages, and at the bottom, inspirational messages. So on this page it says, take care of yourself first. And then on this page, you come from a bloodline of champions. So all positive and inspirational messages. And I just wanted to share these books with you, because they've been a part of my journey of discovering who I am and for self-healing. So those are journals and activities to get involved in to help you on your journey. But of course, there is all the professional help that is out there. And again, Jehovah's Witnesses don't encourage people to go and seek professional help. When I spoke to a member of my family who's still a Jehovah's Witness, and I raised this with them, their response, because unfortunately they are still very much entrenched in the religion and the beliefs, their response was, well, you know, it's entirely up to you. If you want to go, nobody's going to stop you. And I said, yes, that may be true now, but there is still that catch, that if you go, you're going to bring reproach upon Jehovah's name, and therefore lots of people feel that they can't go. So, you know, it very much, you know, this sort of catch situation, you can go, but be careful. You know, it's up to you what you want to do, but be careful. You know, so, you know, we know that lots of people haven't gone and sought professional help, but there's lots of professional help out there. So, you know, you might need to seek medical attention for physical ailments, get regular health checks, and, you know, again, I referred to my story of suffering from lupus, and I really believe I suffered with lupus all through my years of being a Jehovah's Witness. It wasn't diagnosed until I was well in my 30s, and I'd suffered with it for many, many, many years, right from being a child. And, you know, so it's important to recognise any health conditions that you may have and get proper treatment and care for it. But also, you know, as we leave the organisation, we may suffer mental health challenges, depression, low mood. Some people suffer PTSD because of the trauma that they've experienced. Again, make sure that, you know, you seek the medical help that you need. And then, of course, there are all the professional services such as therapy and counselling services and talking therapies, all sorts of therapies that are available. Do make sure that you tap into those services. There's lots of services available on the web and through the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, but also seek help and support through your medical practitioner and your doctor too. And the last section that I wanted to mention is about looking after yourself. You know, as part of the training that I do with my clients, I always stress that you are priority. Not your family, not your kids, not your husband, not your partner, not the cat, not the dog, not the house. You are priority. And particularly as women, we put other people first. So make yourself a priority. Find time for you and take the time to do what you want to do. You know, if your family is out, build bridges with your family if that relationship has been damaged, you know, and that's really important. As in my case, that wasn't so much the case for me because my family was out. I do have some family that's in now, and my concern is how they are going to react when they discover that and I'm not going to put the label on myself, I'm not going to do that, but my concern is how they are going to react when they discover that I am speaking out against the organisation and have my YouTube channel. They know that I am not favourable towards the Jehovah's Witness belief, but having a channel is taking it to a new level. But I will cross that bridge when I come to it, and I am so asking the universe, the divine, the almighty, that my family wakes up and see the organisation for what it is soon. So if your family's out, build bridges with them, find new friends, you know, colleagues, workmates, neighbours. Some of my best friends are my neighbours and I absolutely love them to bits. And we're just there for each other regardless of our religious backgrounds. That is irrelevant when it comes to, you know, women and friendship and, you know, just being human beings. Find things that you enjoy. You know, again, as witnesses, we weren't, and I certainly wasn't encouraged to have any hobbies or any interests. So when I left, I had to really discover the things that I liked, and it took me a long time because the only thing I did, and I can't even say I enjoyed it, the only thing I did was meetings, field service, book study, personal study and Bible studies, meetings, book study, field service. That was all I did. I was on that ferret wheel. So I had to really start learning to discover who I was, and find things that I enjoy. And I did. It took a long time. I absolutely love musical theatre. That's a real passion for me. I love crafting, I love making jewellery, I love writing, I love gardening, and I absolutely adore and love travel. But also, you know, as I now I take pride in myself. So I also started getting involved in going on beauty days, beauty spa, going and having my nails done, my hair done, you know, having facials and all of that, lunch with the girls, dinner with the girls, night out with the girls, you know. So really discover who you are and what you like, and most of all, take time to relax and discover you. And you know, I had this really interesting conversation with somebody only yesterday, and we said sometimes as we get older and the kids have grown up and they've got their own lives, we get a bit scared of being on our own. And you may be able to recognize this, but I've been in situations where, you know, I've been in all week, I want to go out, so I ring all my friends and they're all busy doing stuff, or they're not answering their phone, and I think, oh, I'm gonna have to spend the weekend or the night in on my own again, do you know? And when I resign myself to thinking I've got to stay in on my own again, I end up either reading a book or watching a TV program or watching a movie. And you know, that's the best thing that I ever done. And I can come to realise that you read something that is absolute gold, you watch something, you hear something that is just what you need at the time. And I really believe that is the Almighty, the Divine, saying, do you know what? There's a reason why you need to be in, you know? There's a reason why you need to be on your own tonight. So sometimes we have to get comfortable of just being on our own, because I know for me as a witness, my life was always surrounded by people, either at the meetings, on field service, there was always people. So now for me, it was a massive adjustment for me to say, okay, now I'm going to have time for me to discover me. And some of that time is about with other people. Some of that time is also about being on my own and being alone, that alone time. So that's really important. So guys, you know, those are just some thoughts that I had about discovering who I was. And it's taken 30 years, and I'm now comfortable with who I am, and I've discovered me. But I'm still discovering. I'm on that journey. I'm on that journey, and I'm loving the journey. I'm loving enjoying my life without guilt, without somebody saying, oh, you can't do that because the Bible says so, or, you know, you're going to get in trouble with the elders, or, you know, watch your back, or, you know, don't get caught doing that. No, that's not living. That's not life. That's not life. Being controlled is not life. So I'm really enjoying my journey, and I hope that wherever you are, on whatever stage of your journey you are on, you are enjoying it. So guys, listen, you know, I hope that this resonates with somebody, even if it's just one person. I know this is a lengthy one, but I really hope that it resonates with someone. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your journey, what journey you're on and how you're doing on your journey. Leave a message in the comment box below, and you'll know that if you follow my channel, if you watch my videos, that I respond. I read every message that comes, whether it's a good message, a bad message, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me. I even read those messages from the trolls. Yeah. And just to those trolls, the message for the trolls is, you know what? You need a little bit of love in your life. Seriously, we all do. We all do. But yeah, Yeah, I hope you find the love that you need. But yeah, to everybody else, let me know your message. Let me know how you're getting on. And yeah, again, a shameless plug is that my free books are available on Amazon. If you do get any of them and you're using them, just again let me know how you're getting on. Pop a message below. So guys, listen, love you loads, love you absolutely loads. I'm really getting to know some of you and I absolutely love it. So have a fantastic day. If you've not subscribed, please do so. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you have previously subscribed, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you on another video. Have a wonderful day. See you soon, guys.